history that we were all taught growing up is wrong. My name is Scott Wolter, and I'm a forensic geologist. There's a hidden history that nobody knows about. There are pyramids, chambers, tombs, inscriptions. They're all over the world. We're going to investigate these artifacts and sites, and we're going to get to the truth. Sometimes history isn't what we've been told. As a forensic geologist, I rely on the study of rocks to learn more about our own history. And throughout my career, there have been several artifacts that I constantly return to. One of them is called the Bat Creek Stone. Though small in size, it's considered one of archaeology's biggest mysteries. I first learned about it during an unrelated investigation back in 2008. I was examining some cave inscriptions with a woman named Leslie Kalin when she told me about the stone and how it's inscribed with strange writing. I was immediately intrigued and had to know more. The Bat Creek Stone was discovered back in 1889 in a Native American burial mound in Loudoun County, Tennessee, along with jewelry and 9 human skeletons. The writing on the stone was first thought to be a form of Cherokee script. Later, it was determined to be an ancient form of Hebrew. Why would a stone with Hebrew writing be buried in a Native American mound? After years of research, a possible connection began to emerge. Could the stone be an ancient Hebrew land claim, possibly from the lost tribes of Israel? The lost tribes of Israel are 10 tribes that disappeared from the Holy Land in 722 BC after the Assyrians waged a bloody battle against them. To this day, no one knows if they died, escaped, or assimilated into the population. Some believe they traveled to America to build a new Jerusalem. The Smithsonian officially owns the Bat Creek Stone, but it's housed at the McClung Museum in Knoxville, Tennessee. Leslie's father, a Cherokee elder, helped me get permission to study the stone, which I examined in 2010. Now, I'm returning to Tennessee to examine it using state-of-the-art technology. I hope looking at it with a 3D microscope will help determine if the stone is an ancient relic of the lost tribes of Israel or something else. Before my re-examination, I'm meeting with Leslie Kalin again to see what she knows about this mysterious artifact and any connections between the lost tribes of Israel and the Native American site where the stone was found. So aside from the inscription, is there any evidence of an early Hebrew connection with people or places in Tennessee?
I think that some of my people believe that we might be descendants from the lost tribe. My grandfather told me that he felt that we had a Jewish connection, maybe even possibly be part of the lost tribe of Israel. There is a group called the Central Band of Cherokees. They believe that they are direct descendants of the lost tribe of Israel.
On my way to the McClung Museum, I can't stop thinking about what Leslie said. As a scientist, I focus on facts, but in this case, I can't ignore the oral tradition. If some Cherokee people believe they're connected to the lost tribes of Israel, maybe there's something to it.
Here it is, Just
All
got
right.
it fresh off the exhibit for you.
I'm really excited to look at the Bat Creek stone. With the new technology, this Keon's 3D microscope, that's going to hopefully help answer the question, is it authentic or not?
And that's part of why you're studying it. There is some controversy about the stone.
Can you give me just a brief synopsis as you understand the history of the Bat Creek stone?
Yeah, I mean, it has a very interesting history. It was part of the Smithsonian's Bureau of Ethnology's mound survey that Cyrus Thomas was leading to try to understand what they call at the time the mystery of the mound builders, of who actually built these things. And one of those excavations was done in Loudoun County, Tennessee, at the intersection of Bat Creek with the Little Tennessee River. And they excavated a couple of mounds there, and one of them was a burial mound where they actually found the Bat Creek stone.
A scientist named Cyrus Thomas was in charge of the mound survey. Initially, he thought the mounds were the work of some advanced race which no longer existed. Eventually, he went on record with his belief that the Cherokee people were somehow connected to the prehistoric mound builders. Some critics believe John Emmert, the field archaeologist working on the project who found the Bat Creek stone, may have planted the artifact to get in good with his boss.
He was actually at one point fired from the Smithsonian and was rehired, and this was one of his first projects after being rehired. Did that actually influence him and what he did or didn't do? And that we'll never know. Beyond Bat Creek stone, there are other stone tablets and other things that clearly were hoaxes. You have found fakes.
Oh, yeah.
There are things out there.
I have found fakes, but I have also found things like the Kensington runestone is absolutely genuine. The Bat Creek stone is one of the classic examples of bad science run amok. Everybody's got an opinion, and you know what they're worth in many cases. The rocks don't have bad days. They don't care. They just are. So we go back to the science. And I always say, I let the rocks talk. The Bat Creek stone was found in a Native American burial mound in the 1880s. Some people think it's a hoax. They suspect the guy who found the stone faked its inscription to get in good with his boss at the Smithsonian. I'm not buying that. I think the stone may prove Jewish people made it to America before Columbus. This artifact could even be connected to the lost tribes of Israel. They're famous for vanishing without a trace in 722 BC. Some Cherokee people in Tennessee think they have a connection to the lost tribes. I've studied the Bat Creek stone once, but now I'm back in Tennessee to examine it with the latest technology. If I can figure out how old the carvings are on the stone using 3D analysis, it would go a long way towards solving the lost tribes mystery. I want to show you something here that I think is pretty important. This is the very first picture taken of the Bat Creek stone, 1894. If you look in this area right here, there are no scratches. But in this 1971 photograph, you can see there are 2 scratches.
Clearly.
Clearly they were added after the stone was found. Do you have any thoughts on why that might have happened or how that may have happened?
Well, I mean, there's 2 things that could happen. Could have been accidentally scratched in some form or fashion, or it could be somebody trying to do some sort of early testing before 3D imaging to see what it's made of and how easy it is to scratch and things like that. We will do some test scratches like that sometimes.
What's important about this is these serve as excellent control samples for me to compare with the original inscription to see if they're the same.
Hopefully this machine can tell us some more today.
We start by examining the modern scratch. I'm not sure if this mark was made accidentally or on purpose. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that this scratch may be able to help prove the authenticity of the Bat Creek stone. When they scratched the stone, it will generate secondary material that's left behind. And we see that here in the freshly scratched surface. Whenever you scratch a stone, you leave stuff behind, deposits from making the mark. The fact that we see residue in this microscopic view speaks to the fact that this is a recent carving. Because we're looking at a recent scratch, it would make sense some of that material is still there. No polish marks.
Clearly rough. I mean, it's something that was intentional, but not to be beautiful.
Yes. So let's take a look at the original inscription. If it was fresh like the scratch, we would see secondary material in there, and we don't see that. Well, as you can see here, we don't have any of those deposits that we saw on the fresh scratch. They're completely gone. It's clean as a whistle. It's completely weathered away. The weathering is key because to get that weathering profile took time. We've got nice rounded edges, and the polished surface looks nothing like the fresh scratch.
Right.
In Emmert's notes, the first time he mentions the stone, he said it was a polished stone. You can see the scratches going into the grooves after it was carved. So clearly that indicates the inscription was carved first, then it was polished. The inscription on the Bat Creek stone was clearly polished, unlike those new scratches, which weren't polished at all. By polishing it, that tells you that they're treating this with care, that it has meaning to them, and maybe even sacred. If Emmert faked the inscription, it would look newer, more like the modern scratches, but the inscription looks really old.
So here's the question for you. Can that be faked?
You can make a charge that somebody did something anytime you want, but making it stick is the key thing. We've talked a lot about the inscription, but we haven't really talked about what it says. One of the top Semitic scholars in the world at that time has translated the inscription as "for the Judeans." The Judeans were a Jewish people who occupied a mountainous region called Judea, which today is Israel's West Bank and the northern Negev desert. The region was named after the biblical tribe of Judah, one of the lost tribes of Israel. If the Bat Creek stone really does bear the inscription "for the Judeans," it could be a significant clue that suggests the lost tribes came to America.
There's been some other interpretation as well, nothing too drastically different. How old do you think that is? How much older do you think that is than those modern scratches?
The type of work that I do is what I call relative age dating. It's older than this, it's younger than that. We know this is this old, we know this is this old, it's in between, so it has to fall somewhere in the middle. By looking at the weathering of the original inscription, comparing it with the modern scratches, to me, that says it wasn't made during modern times. Emmert said he pulled it from the mound. I've seen no evidence to question that. The other thing I think that's very important is this double-barred cross of Lorraine, which was used by early Jewish groups and is a symbol of the crucifixion. That would not be consistent with the lost tribes of Israel if it represented the crucifixion. I mean, we're talking about a group that disappeared around 700 BC, and the crucifixion obviously is 800 years later in this particular case.
Yeah, obviously, wrong time.
After taking a closer look at the Cross of Lorraine, I still don't have enough information to definitively connect the lost tribes of Israel with the Bat Creek stone. Still, this is a mysterious artifact with Hebrew on it. I've looked at others too. They make me wonder, who created them, when, and why? I'm very comfortable that the Bat Creek stone, all evidence here, to me, indicates that it looks to be a genuine artifact. But there are other artifacts that have been found in North America, pre-Columbian artifacts with Hebrew inscriptions on them. I've investigated Ohio's Decalogue stone. It has a shortened version of the Ten Commandments on it, written in Paleo-Hebrew. Same story in Los Lunas, New Mexico, where there's a similar artifact, also called the Decalogue stone, with the Ten Commandments on it. And in Arizona, more Hebrew, on the Tucson lead artifacts, a collection of authentic ritual objects pulled from the desert in 1924. I have to wonder if all these things are markers on a trail left by Hebrew people long ago. There's a person that I'm going to go visit and talk to a little bit more about the Bat Creek Stone and about some other artifacts.
Part of the science of all this is actually having a dialogue and talking to different scholars, different perspectives and expertise.
We've had a good exchange today, but now I want to ask you, Tim, are you convinced by what you've seen here today that the Bat Creek Stone is a genuine pre-Columbian Hebrew artifact? Well, Tim, you are the curator here at the McClung Museum that houses the Bat Creek Stone artifact. We've just spent a good part of the day looking at brand new data. So based on everything you've seen, do you think that the Bat Creek Stone is a genuine pre-Columbian Hebrew artifact?
I'm not completely convinced yet, but you did show me some things today I didn't expect. There's some potential other things that need to be done before I can say, yes, you have an authentic stone.
But your mind is open.
Oh, as a scientist, your mind's always open.
I have to say that I'm convinced this is a genuine artifact, but I'm all about collecting more data. I'm going to go see if I can find some more evidence of some early Hebrew culture coming to North America prior to Columbus, long before Columbus, possibly the lost tribes of Israel. I'm on my way to see an artifact expert named Hugh McCullough. He studied the Bat Creek Stone and other artifacts found inside the burial mound. A while back, Hugh showed me another allegedly Hebrew artifact called the Decalogue Stone in Coshocton, Ohio. Today we're meeting in another part of Ohio at a national park known for its mounds. Well, Hugh, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Scott, and welcome to Ohio. Tell me what you found in Tennessee. I understand you looked at the Bat Creek Stone down there?
I had a chance to look at the artifact with my new technology, the 3D digital microscope. I was able to confirm that the weathering of the inscription is indeed old. There's no question that the Bat Creek Stone is not a hoax. It's a genuine artifact. And the fact that it's Paleo-Hebrew says to me that it has to be an early Jewish group that created it, possibly the Lost Tribes.
Well, I agree it's a Jewish artifact, so I think it's very exciting.
Tell me a little bit about the testing that you did back in the 1980s.
There were some wooden ear spools found with the stone.
Wooden ear spools, tell me a little bit, what are those?
The Hopewell and many other cultures use these ear spools. They're just decorative ear spools that they stretch the ears. We were able to get a carbon date on those. It was somewhere between 32 and 769 AD.
So Hugh, based on the data, it doesn't look like this is the Lost Tribes, who were probably around 722 BC. This is something more in the 1st century, right?
If you look at the inscription here, here's your photo of the Bat Creek Stone. And the style of the letters most closely matches that of the Jewish war coins of the 65 to 70 AD. The letter style matches almost perfectly. There would have been an incentive at that time for Jewish people to emigrate, because if they stayed behind, they would have been nailed to a cross or fed to the lions or enslaved.
Around 70 AD, Jews and their Roman rulers were fighting over unfair taxation, disrespect for the Jewish faith, and accusations of theft. The rebellion, known as the Great Revolt, was eventually crushed by the Romans. 4 years later, Jerusalem was captured, and 100,000 Jews were killed or sold into slavery. The big question: did other Jews escape and find their way to America? There's another piece of evidence here, too, that jumps out at me, is this double-barred cross. That's probably one of the earliest, if not the earliest, versions of the Cross of Lorraine. The Cross of Lorraine is symbolic of the crucifixion, which would have been sometime in the middle, late 1st century, consistent with an early Jewish group in the 1st or 2nd century. All the testing that you had done, the testing of the ear spools and the script, all do overlap about what time?
Around the 1st century AD.
So you've got consistency from different points.
Right.
Now we have the geology work that I've done as far as the weathering indicating that it's very old, that it's not a modern hoax. Based on all of this, we have apparently a 1st or 2nd century Jewish artifact found in a Native American Indian mound, and its historical importance cannot be overstated.
I'd agree with you, Scott, but there's one more piece of evidence I want to show you, which is even bigger in a sense.
I'm interested. Let's go.
Okay.
It's becoming clear to me the Bat Creek stone and the ear spools found in the same burial mound don't go back far enough to be connected to the lost tribes of Israel. I keep wondering, who left these things, and what does it all mean?
So this is a photocopy of a map that was made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, 1823, of some earthworks here in Ohio.
Earthworks, also known as mounds, are intentional changes in land level. These sculpted piles of rocks and soil are often ancient, mysterious, and massive.
What does this portion up here look like to you?
Well, that looks like a menorah.
Right.
Is that what that is?
Well, that's what it looks like.
The menorah, also called a Hanukkah, is the symbol of Hanukkah. The 8-day Jewish holiday celebrates the rededication of their temple after years of fighting. The Hanukkah story tells how soldiers who recaptured the temple had only enough oil for one night, but miraculously, it lasted for 8. So let me get this straight. Somebody in the distant past built this earthwork that's traditionally Native American in the shape of a menorah?
Well, if we didn't have the Bat Creek stone and the Decalogue stone, I'd be totally bewildered. A Jewish idea like this is not so strange after all, maybe.
Experts believe the Hopewell people built both the Hanukkah earthworks on the Army Corps map, as well as all the mounds surrounding us here at Hopewell Culture National Park. I mean, that looks like a lamp, an oil lamp.
Right, it looks like the oil lamp that was supposed to have burned.
What else can it be?
What else can it be?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. This is a beautiful place, but why didn't you take me here?
This map was made in 1823, but by 1848 it was pretty much plowed over and not visible from the ground anymore.
So it's been basically destroyed.
Right. So it was a huge structure. This is only 13 acres here, and this is 100 acres.
Wow, almost 10 times bigger.
We know that Thomas Jefferson was actually very interested in this particular earthwork. It goes back to 1803, even when he was president. He asked a general to draw these very same earthworks.
The reason for Jefferson's interest? The Louisiana Purchase. The U.S. bought Louisiana from the French. They had taken it from the Spanish. Jefferson wanted to prove others were here in America earlier, so Spain couldn't say Louisiana or any other land belonged to them. I recently investigated the notion that Lewis and Clark were assigned to look for evidence of Welsh contact. I looked at the Brandenburg stone as one possibility that that may have been carved by the Welsh.
He was also interested in the possibility of the lost tribes of Israel, so he even asked Lewis and Clark to look for them. So he was covering all the bases. Roman or Greek or Phoenician, he would have been just as happy to prove it wasn't the Spanish. I think there was a diplomatic interest there.
I'll bet you in his back pocket he had this right here. You know, an earthwork like this, I mean, to me, this just screams an early Jewish culture, but there's something more that's significant here. This is a massive mound. This isn't something done by one or two or a few people. This involved a lot of people, right?
This earthworks would have required a whole community years to build. The whole community was dedicated to building this particular symbol, and therefore it's a much deeper involvement with the indigenous culture than the other artifacts.
I would agree with you. I think collectively, though, they're all important. It seems clear to me that these artifacts don't have anything to do with the lost tribes. Others may be, but not these. So it begs the question, if the lost tribes didn't create these artifacts, who did? By studying the Bat Creek stone, a mysterious artifact found in a Tennessee burial mound more than 100 years ago, I confirmed that its inscription is much older than its discovery date. It's carved with a message for the Judeans. Judea is a region in Israel, and the writing style is consistent with Jews after the turn of the 1st century. Could a group of them have been here in America at that time? That would rule out my initial theory, the lost tribes of Israel, who went missing from history much earlier. But I think there's a chance the lost tribes' descendants might be responsible. I'm going to meet a local rabbi. If I can learn more about the history of Jewish people coming to America, it could help me solve the mystery of the Bat Creek Stone and the menorah-shaped mounds I just learned about. Rabbi, how you doing? I'm investigating ancient Hebrew here in the United States. And I want to try to figure out who's responsible. But I want to know a little bit more about early Jews coming to America. What do you know about that?
So what we do know is that Columbus came in 1492, and with him, he brought Jews. And the first question that begs is, well, why on earth would he do that? And he believed at the time that there were potentially in the New World these lost tribes. He would want people who he thought could communicate with them.
Well, that's interesting that Jews traveled with Columbus. Aren't there some rumors that people thought that maybe he was Jewish himself?
There's a big controversy, and I'll leave this to historians to resolve that, but even if he wasn't Jewish, he certainly had Jewish companions, understood the Jewish community, and was keen on discovering the lost tribes.
There was a lot of persecution going on, wasn't there?
Up until 1492, we talk about historically as the golden age of Spain for the Jews, and things had been going there pretty well. Jews were relatively left alone to thrive in business and religious tradition and what have you, and then we get this edict in 1492, and people were left with just a horrible choice: either die by the sword or convert.
Though 1492 is best known as the year Columbus sailed the ocean blue, it was also an infamous year for the persecution of Jewish people. There was the burning at the stake of 24 Jews in Germany and the expulsion of 100,000 in Sicily. The worst persecution? The Edict of Expulsion in Spain, which gave Jews 4 months to leave Spain, convert to Catholicism, or face death.
The rabbis, some said better to survive, even if you have to convert to Catholicism, your life is more important. And others said, no, it's better to be a martyr and to die than to ever worship in ways that are inauthentic and you don't believe. Tens of thousands of them died. But we also know that thousands of them converted to Catholicism and still maintained their religious Jewish traditions at home. We call those people who were forced to convert conversos.
So they were secretly Jewish, but they were outwardly Catholic.
These conversos, or what are sometimes also called crypto-Jews, were practicing Catholicism, but practicing their Judaism in the closet. Everything from lighting candles in private on Friday nights to refraining from eating pork and following the kosher laws. So these conversos really tried to maintain some sense of their Jewish identity, and they carried that to the New World with them. We know that many of the conversos, the crypto-Jews, made their way to the northern frontier of Mexico in what is now New Mexico and the American Southwest.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, this is something that many people have done, many religions have done, is come to the Americas to practice freedom of religion.
Even today, there continue to be many Latino families who are outwardly practicing Catholicism or Christianity, but who privately continue to observe some of these Jewish rituals that have been passed down to them over time.
Well, in this case, you're talking about modern-day people that are practicing rituals that date back possibly as far as the 15th century. I've been looking at artifacts that go back much further. One example is the Bat Creek Stone, and the language is early Semitic script that some scholars say dates back to the 1st century. So I'm really interested in trying to get to the bottom of this and find anything I can that might be related. Is there anything that you know of that could possibly be related to what could be ancient Jewish writing?
I can't claim to the veracity of this, but there is a woman in New Mexico who claimed to have found this on her father's property. And there are some historians who believe that this evidence is early, potentially Semitic or Hebrew writing. Perhaps there's something there.
What the rabbi is showing me isn't the only carving with a Hebrew connection in New Mexico. There's another one called the Los Lunas Decalogue Stone, and the 10 Commandments are carved on it in Paleo-Hebrew. Maybe there's a connection between that boulder and the petroglyph pictures which the rabbi is showing me. The thing that's really jumping out is it looks weathered. If this is down in New Mexico and there's any possibility that this could be Old Hebrew or Old Jewish writing, I'm gonna have to check this out. In my investigation, there's one thing I know for certain. Much of what we think we know about our history is wrong. We know Jewish people came to America with Columbus, and the Bat Creek Stone proves they came here in the 1st century too. But there may be others, perhaps the lost tribes, who came here even earlier, and the people I'm about to meet may have found proof. Are you Stacy?
I am. This is my friend Ron.
Hi, Ron.
My pleasure.
I'm investigating the likelihood that there were ancient Hebrew tribes, people that came here from across the Atlantic, going back at least hundreds of years, perhaps thousands. I recently talked to a rabbi friend of mine back in Minneapolis who said there were Hebrew carvings down here. Tell me about them.
We have found several on my dad's land
Really?
up here, and Ron found many of these all around New Mexico. All
Really?
of these drawings that we're anxious for you to look at.
Well, I've got these pictures from a friend of mine, Jimmy's ranch.
So what are these?
They're ligatures that's written in a script form that makes it easier for people that know the language and people that don't to understand in a picture.
I mean, the earliest communication that humans had was through pictures. Maybe that's what we have going on here. These look fascinating. Maybe we should go take a look at them. What do you say?
Yes.
Let's go. You have a 4-wheel drive. It's pretty rough and remote out there.
I got it covered. Let's go.
All right.
Okay.
I'm in New Mexico looking for ligatures. They're symbols that take on new meaning when they're combined. They could be evidence that Jews came to America long before Columbus. Maybe they were clues left by members of the legendary lost tribes of Israel, Jewish tribes that went missing in 722 BC. I'm heading to the discovery site to see for myself. So Ron, you have to tell me, how did you find these things?
I was building these roads through here and got out of the bulldozer and ran across. Just saw this over here on the side of the rocks.
This is not the first time I've seen evidence here in North America of early Hebrews coming here. I mean, I've looked at the Decalogue Stone, the Bat Creek Stone, the Tucson lead artifacts, and the Hanukkiah earthworks absolutely suggest that there were early Jews here in America long before Columbus, and we certainly weren't taught that in school, were we?
No, no. Here we are.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
Well, Ron, not only is it rugged out here, but it's remote. I mean, why would somebody come out here to carve a hoax or graffiti? I mean, nobody would see it. This whole panel is full of carvings, and up there too. It would be easy to assume these are Native American petroglyphs, but I don't think they are. I've never seen anything quite like this before. You see this dark surface on this rock? This developed over at least hundreds of years, probably thousands of years. You can actually see where some of the edges have spalled. You see how it's almost white, sort of a tan color? Well, that's what these would have looked like when they were first made. But they're dark. They're almost black, like the background rock that they're carved into. This is definitely not modern. This is my handheld portable microscope. And you can see how dark that is. You know, another thing that jumps out at me right away that I'm sure you guys have noticed, that they didn't take a hammer and chisel. This was carved with rocks, and they used a pecking technique. Can you see that?
It's like it's pitted.
I saw something on the way in that could help us put a date on these carvings. It's the sort of thing many people frown upon, but as a geologist, I can find some value in it. It's graffiti. Let's go take a look at this other site. That's what I wanted to show you. You can see that this is fresh looking. It's carved into the same dark surface. This one's dated 1892. It looks like it was carved yesterday. Some other carvings here, 1925, 1924, 1919, and they all look fresh. I mean, this is just a quick and dirty comparison, but you can see this looks a lot different than what we have back there. It's pretty dramatic, isn't it? It's definitely older than 120 years, easily hundreds of years old, who knows how far back. So at this point, it becomes important to talk to the experts in this script. And my question is, do we know what this script is?
Right. Well, we did reach out to a few experts, and they dated it to the 15th century BC.
15th century BC.
BC.
That's 3,500 years ago.
It's a script that
Okay.
predates the Hebrew alphabet.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called Old Negev.
Old Negev is an ancient script. Experts believe it was developed by ancestors of the biblical Abraham, who worked in the Egyptian mines in west central Sinai. The laborers needed a way to express their language in writing. Some consider Old Negev to be a precursor to Phoenician, Paleo-Hebrew, and early Arabic scripts. The name Negev came up when I examined the Back Creek stone in Tennessee. Its inscription reads, "For the Judeans." The Judeans lived in what's now the northern Negev desert.
The people we reached out to gave us some rough translations of this.
So it's read right to left?
It's, yeah, from,
Like Hebrew,
from right
okay.
to left. So we're talking in this area here, woe and sorrow on this inscription in here.
Okay.
And then we move over here to this, and this would be to cover or veil. This one right down here would be sunburnt or black. And it's talking about brothers and relatives, fellow man and friend to cry out or call for help.
Talking about woe and sorrow and sunburned. There is a rock shelter here. It would provide protection from the sun.
Right.
So maybe this is where they took refuge during a long journey and took the time to carve this. And we're talking Old Negev script. That's 3,500 years ago. The weathering of this inscription could certainly be that old. My gosh, that's 700 years before the Lost Tribes. Well, we don't know if this is that old, but if it is that old, I mean, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
That is so interesting that you say the Lost Tribes, because there is one figure on here that a friend of mine who lived in Israel for several years said is associated with the tribe of Judah.
This isn't the first time in this investigation that the name Judah has come up. The Bat Creek stone inscription reads, "For the Judeans," in Paleo-Hebrew. Judea is a region named after the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah, that's Jesus' tribe.
Right.
And if this is indeed 3,500 years old, that would be 1,500 years before Jesus. So this would have been his distant ancestors that could have used this script. But the other possibility is that this could have been a group that came later. We don't know. Sometimes people will use outdated languages far into the future. I mean, the Catholics still use Latin during Mass, and in our culture today, Latin is essentially a dead language.
Yeah.
So the lost tribes being responsible for this, I guess, is still on the table. Whoever this group is traveled far and wide, it sounds like. There's going to be archaeologists that are going to watch this, and they're going to scoff, when what they should be doing is respecting the work that we're trying to do here. The argument that the oceans were these vast, impenetrable barriers, to me, is ridiculous. Here, yet another group probably did come over here in the distant past. The Bat Creek Stone is physically small compared to a lot of things I investigate. But there's a big mystery attached to it. After studying the Bat Creek Stone with my 3D microscope and meeting with someone else who studied it, I'm convinced it's not a hoax. I think it was left in America by a first-century Jewish group, but I can't say for sure who they were or why they left it. I no longer think the lost tribes were involved. The timing's just not right. But the Bat Creek Stone does connect early Jews with pre-Columbian America. Decalogue stones with the 10 Commandments, earthwork shaped like a menorah, and strange petroglyphs in the southwest also point to unexpected Jewish visitors to the New World. Whatever happened to the lost tribes of Israel when they disappeared in 722 BC is still a mystery, but it's one I hope to solve someday.